Hey guys, it's Bina, and in this video I want to go over a little bit more of the imprints and the how to craft double tier 7 items of your wanted stats. So the imprint system is the Weaver tree here with these nodes, for example, Echoing Riches, Sealed Riches, Commoner's Riches, and Warlord's Riches. So this one is a comment that I had on my previous video of my Uber kill. Oh no, what was it on? It wasn't on my Uber kill. It was on my farming video. Someone mentioned how content creators are like not delivering content, which is like some of the most important content there is out there for imprinting your items and obtaining some good double tier 7 items with wanted stats. How do you start this? How do you go from a, you know, like not having a double tier 7 to getting your tier 7, your double tier 7s, imprinting them, and then crafting the item so that you get your your proper item that you want. So we're gonna talk a little bit about this today. I did not prepare like a complete like I don't have this video all thought out already. I'm just gonna go with the flow because there are multiple different scenarios where you have different options, and like depending on your item is 1, 2, 3, or 4 LP, you might want to craft in a certain way. For example, on the 2 LP, you only care about the 2 mods that you actually want on the item, so you don't like the craft is way easier. On 3 LP, it gets much harder and stuff like that. But I'm gonna try to cover the basics and start from the very beginning. As how do you obtain your first double tier 7? There are a couple ways of obtaining your first double tier 7 items. One of them is just dropping them randomly as you are playing. So make sure that your loot filter has some proper rules for showing up the double tier 7. If you are looking at a max roll guide, for example, and you're grabbing the filter from the guide will have a rule that will show in yellow multi-exalted items, minimum tier 7 and 7. It has one for triple exalt. It has one for multi-exalt tier 7, tier 6. I started hiding the tier 7, tier 6 because I feel like they are just not strong enough for the progression of my character, the progression at which my character was with my Lightning Blast character. That being said, early on, even later on, you can still show these. Like, you don't drop that many of them. You do drop them quite frequently if you're doing a lot of Nemesis towers. But yeah, so I decided to hide this. So I'm strictly looking for double tier 7. Double tier 7 is like the end game staple of an item. Basically, you want to get double tier 7 everywhere if you can, and possibly double tier 7 and tier 6, or even triple tier 7 if you're extremely lucky. But yeah, double tier 7 is like the standard. And you can get them by drops. You can get them by improving your chances at getting a lot of exalted items when killing loot lizards here. So all the stuff for exalted items, lost caches drop exalted items. These can drop you some double tier 7s. So trying to drop as many exalteds. But the main way that people are usually going about for obtaining their first ones is going to be spamming Conquered Towers. I'm not going to talk about how to farm Conquered Towers. We're strictly talking about how to obtain them. If you want to learn about Conquered Tower, go look at my other videos talking about farming and like imprinting the Beast Echo and stuff like that. Anyways, there's many ways that you can do this. You want to spam Conquered Towers. The Nemesises have a chance to drop, to upgrade your items, upgrade the affixes into exalteds. And these are very, very good ways of obtaining double tier 7, especially if you are in Circle of Fortune, because Circle of Fortune makes tier 7 affixes twice as common, and affixes are 50% more likely to be exalted. Like all of the bonuses from Circle of Fortune are affected. Well, the exiled mages, not the exiled mages, the Nemesis are affected by the COF bonuses. So in COF, it's even more probable that you will find a double tier 7 in a Nemesis. So the other way would be to go with prophecies. So of course we all know about Circle of Fortune, and then when you visit the observatory, you can go ahead and grab some prophecies for exalted items. This is like your last resort. I would not recommend starting out with this. There are better uses for your prophecies, like idols, like uniques, like stuff that you actually need. But if you really like need to improve your belt, and all that you're missing is a double exalted belt. I did this on one of my characters, actually. Don't remember what piece of gear I did this on, but if you really need a belt, then you go ahead and then you grab some prophecies for, you know, boots or belts or gloves. And then you just try to get as much as possible, because favor is a resource that you spend for the things that you want at that moment. Like in the end game, you will gain multiple hundred thousands of favor per hour if you are farming properly. So like at the very minimum, you should be getting at least 100,000, if not two, just playing the game per hour. That is, of course, if you are being quite efficient in your farming and you're not like spending too much time, you know, in town, in your stash and whatnot. You know, town is lava, just like in any other ARPG. You want to be blasting, you want to be killing monsters, you want to be farming, you want to be efficient, but it's also fun to, like, you know, look at your items, and then maybe you spend a little bit of time fixing your stash and like making your stash nice and tidy, so that you can find your items properly whenever you're looking for something. But anyways, that being said, these are the main ways that you obtain a double tier 7 that I know of. If you have any other methods that you know of, please post them down in the comments below, and I'll make sure to cover them in a future video. But that is the first step, is obtaining like any double tier 7. Once you've got your first double tier 7, let's say for example that you've got like a, let's take a random double tier 7 here. Okay, let's take a random tier 7 like this one here. Right, so now you're looking for double tier 7 gloves, but you want to change these gloves into a pair of gloves that looks like this, with intelligence and cast speed prefixes. So that's gonna this will always depend on the build, right? You might want 2 prefixes, 2 suffixes, 1 prefix, 1 suffix. This kind of depends, but your first step is going to be trying to get the stats that you want, and then for this you will imprint. I will just complete this. This is a new character, so this is why my woven tree is not complete yet. I just literally started this character. It's gonna be my Shadow Cascade Blade Dancer. So you would start imprinting this in certain spots, right? Wherever you can. Certain spots of imprints have only like weapon or jewelry. This one has armor or weapon. This one has armor or jewelry. And this one has any item. But this one is not necessarily to obtain double tier 7s. Like this one would be to, if you want to use an exalted item and have a sealed affix at tier 7, you can use Warlord's Riches. We're going to be talking a little bit about this one later on. But yeah, so these 3 imprints, the Commoner's Riches, Sealed Riches, and Echoing Riches, are the ones that you want to be using to imprint your items, to get that you want to slam onto uniques. And so first, I would start imprinting this, right? And then the best thing that you can do is have at least 1 open affix on the item. Why 1 open affix? Because that will make you a guarantee that you can craft a tier 1 of your wanted stat, and then you can havoc the stats around so that it swaps the tier 7s around, and that tier 1 becomes on a stat that you don't want, and then you can seal that one and craft your second wanted stat. So that guarantees that you have a chance of getting your wanted stats on the item. So you would start imprinting this, then I would take this one, right? So what matters in the imprint? The forging potential of the item matters. We don't have the complete math of everything, that is like all the odds for everything that can happen on the imprints. I know Tunk from Tunk Labs is looking into this. We should be getting it eventually, but for now, that is going to be not an option to know exactly the percentage chances of an item rolling with the same affix, with the same forging potential. Will it only, like, what's the percentage chance that it changes an affix into another, etc., etc. But you want to improve your odds as much as possible. This system will try to drop you items that are close to the item, that are similar. They can have like the same forging potential, more or less. They can have like the same affixes, more or less, the same tiers, more or less, the same item base, more or less, right? Like, for example, these are noble gloves, but this could be like, they could drop exactly the same, but it only changes into a pair of, you know, eternal gauntlets. It changes it into a pair of outcast gloves, but with the same stats. So that can happen. The sealed affix does not matter. When this drops, it will not drop the sealed affix with it. So you don't have to worry about this. So you want to first imprint this one. And then what I would do is, since I want an open affix, right? Say that I want to have like a, say that I want to have two prefixes here. I want these gloves to become these gloves actually, right? Outcast gloves. Intelligence and cast speed. Well, I already have attunement. So attunement, we know that we can change the attributes with a woven echo that is called Orden's Watch. So Orden's Watch, so these are kind of like all little tips that you need to know. Orden's Watch can change the attributes between one another, except for vitality, right? So whether it is strength, int, dex, or attunement, these are all attributes that you can swap around. So this attunement, tier 7, is actually not attunement. It's actually intelligence for me. And it only costs 1 forging potential. So I know that I need to get, I already have my wanted stat on my prefix here, but I want to get cast speed here, right? So this tier 2 throwing attack speed, I want this tier 7 to go onto this one. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try sealing this. And there's a very good resource for this as well, right? Again, I keep talking about Tunk Labs, but like Tunk Lab has some insane information for all of you guys. So if you go onto lastepoch.tunklab.com, you have a lot of calculators, a lot of good information about many, many different things. The one we are interested in right now is the seal chance. So we're going to go into seal chance, right? So chance to seal an affix on an exalted item. I'll make this bigger. Chance to seal an item on an chance to seal an affix on an exalted item with 1 to 4 affixes. So depending on the number of the affixes, right, it changes your odds of sealing it. So if the tier is 1, I would have 105% chance of sealing it. So that guarantees it, right? If I have tier 2, I have a 69% chance, the perfect chance of sealing the affix. So because this one is tier 2 throwing attack speed, I now have a 69% chance of sealing this. Now, so lower tiers, right? The low tiers, like tier 1 and tier 2, you are very likely, you are more likely than not. And tier 3 and 4, you are more likely to fail than to succeed, okay? So the next thing that we can check here is going to be the Rune of Havoc. So it can decide like, okay, if I have, it has a calculator so that you show the current tier of your item, right? So I have like double tier 7 and tier 2, tier 1, okay? So tier 7, tier 2, tier 7, tier 1, right? And now what I want to have the ability to seal my prefix here. If I wanted to guarantee, I don't usually do this. I kind of like know this by feeling, or like tier 2 I would probably seal. But let's go through the math to know if we are doing good here. So what I want is this tier 2 to change to a tier 1 with my Rune of Havoc, right? The Rune of the Rune of Havoc. It will change the tiers of the affixes of the item between one another, and so this tier 1 could go onto the throwing attack speed, and I could seal it to get I could seal it to get a guaranteed an open prefix. Although wait a sec, I just realized that this item actually has a seal, and I can't seal it. Okay, let's take for the matter of the example that this one does not have a seal. I just noticed this, but yeah, okay, for the example, this one doesn't have a seal, okay? Or I'll take another item or something. But the chances of me getting this specific one at tier 1 is only a 27% chance, right? It's only a 27% chance right now. So it will cost me on average 3.6 attempts and an average FP cost of 23.6. Of course, like that is with Glyph of Hope on average, okay? It could be less, it could be more, but it's not worth it. So what I would do on this one is I would try to I would seal this one, right? Or rather, okay, this one has a seal, right? This one has a seal. I've imprinted it. So I can't seal the one that I have right now. The next one that drops, whether it is from Echo Rewards or from the Lost Caches, the next one will not have the sealed affix because it doesn't proc. When you drop your imprints, they never drop with the sealed affixes. So on that next pair of gloves, I might just seal the throwing attack speed and then re-imprint this, making sure it has a decent forging potential. Higher than 40 is desirable. Even higher than 30 might be okay, but try to get as high as possible. Nice thing about the Nemesis is that it drops very high forging potential very often. That is how you get like upwards of 60 forging potential on certain items, and it's not uncommon, right? So I'll go over like one method that I've done for doing this. So let's go over here. Let's go over here on this helm. This is a helm that was posted on Reddit. There was a post asking how to craft my double tier 7 lightning blast and intelligence helmet and how I did it. So for this particular craft, I went ahead and because I wanted to get double prefixes, and I know that one of them is going to be intelligence, I went with Rune of Redemption. What does Rune of Redemption do? Rune of Redemption will make you change the affix that is exalted into another affix. So all of the exalted affix re-roll into any other random affix on the item. But because attributes are very, very common, and they have up to, you have 4 attributes that you can swap between one another with the Woven Echo of the Orden's Watch, I decided to go with that and test my luck with it. Obviously, there are many ways that you can go about this. This is the way that I decided to go for. So let's go ahead and see here how I did this craft. So let's see. All right. So I did it once. I didn't get it. I did it twice, and I got dexterity. So now you see that I went from 43 forging potential to 43 still, because my Glyph of Hope, which gives me a 25% chance to have no forging potential cost, it gave me that. I just got lucky, basically. So I did not consume any forging potential, and I got my wanted tier 7 dex. Now at this point, my item is pretty good already. It has the open prefix that I want, so I can actually craft. On this item, I wanted to get a seal of my set item for the Villatria set. So what I did is I crafted the Villatria set onto it, and then I sealed it, right? So you seal, let's go over all the steps here. I sealed it with my Glyph of Despair. The Glyph of Despair, that's the calculator that we went over a little bit earlier. And so that was guaranteed seal, because it was a tier 1 it was a tier 1, right? And I believe that even for sets, the tier 1 is always guaranteed, no matter what. So then I could craft my wanted stat at tier 1. So I crafted tier 1 lightning blast. I'll always, when you're just crafting and you want to have like the chance to not cost a lot of forging potential, you always use your Glyphs of Hope, right? Have a 25% chance to not consume FP. So now we're down to 32 forging potential. I want to get my double tier 7s on my prefixes. Again, there is the calculator on Tonk Lab, which you can use to determine if you want or not to get to upgrade certain affixes. Because if you have the affixes at the same tier, like this. So say that these are your things here, and then you want to have double tier 7, and then the rest doesn't matter, right? So let's go like this. Wait a sec. Now you want these double tier 7 and this, right? So your chances are very low. If you want to improve your chance, How can I show this? Right. So if the tiers of your items are different, you have a lower chance than if all of your the more tiers you have that are the same, the higher your chance of getting your result that you want. You see here that just going from tier 3 to tier 4 brings this to 20% chance. You know what? Forget what I said here. For some reason, I can't explain this properly, but you can mess around with this calculator. You can mess around with this calculator. The only thing you need to know is that I would only try to upgrade my tiers if I was trying to go with like a tier a 3 LP, or if I want to get like a 4 LP item, I would try to put all the tiers the same of the ones that are not the ones that are not tier 7. So if I wanted absolutely to make this double tier 7 and tier 5, then I would make the two affixes the same tier, and then I would use my rune of havocs. But that is like kind of complicated, and I can't explain it properly for some reason. So we'll just go with this example here. I crafted lightning blast. Now I want to get this tier 7 here, and I want this to stay tier 7. So I'm going to use a rune of havoc to shuffle the tiers of the item. So we start from 32 forging potential. Let's see how this goes. Okay, how many did I do? We went here, we crafted once, didn't work. Twice, it worked. We are now down to 10 forging potential, and now I have my double wanted tier 7, tier 5 health, and tier 1 poison res, right? With my sealed affix, with my sealed set affix here. So now what I did next is I went to the Orden's Watch. Orden's Watch is this Woven Echo, and I swapped out the dexterity for intelligence. So boom. Now we got tier 7 lightning blast and tier 7 intelligence, right? Now all I need to do here, I already had a good roll of intelligence and a good roll of lightning blast. So the intelligence was my priority. So if I did not have a good roll of this, what I would have done is I would have used a rune of refinement. The rune of refinement re-rolls the value of all affixes on an item within their tiers. So this makes it so that I could change the, you know, if I have had 14 intelligence instead, I would have re-rolled this to 16 int, right? And then I craft poison res on it to finish up the craft, because that was the only thing I was missing on the item. So, you know, there's nothing else I can do. I missed my tier 5, so I only got tier 4, but this is still a very good item, right? So I can finally replace my helmet here. So that was the process of re-rolling this one here, of crafting this helm. This is a process that you can do in many different ways. Of course, if it's 2 LP, your item that you're shooting for to slam on a unique, it's going to be different. So there are like intricate strategies for this, but I think that shows you a little bit of the process that you go for. And now we're going to talk about your imprints a little bit more. So once you've imprinted this one, I would have sealed, you know, you wait for your next one, you seal your prefix, and then you re-imprint them, hoping for high forging potential again. And then the reason why you might want to have at least, like you ideally want to have one suffix that is tier 7, because if you have both of your prefixes that are tier 7, how are you going to craft your wanted prefix and then havoc onto it, right? You want to have an open affix of either a prefix or suffix, depending on the one that you want. Since on this one, we want to have a prefix, you want to have an open prefix to be able to craft on it and then havoc it up, right? Ideally, even if you have double tier 7 suffixes, that would be even better, because the odds of you getting a prefix that is low, that you can seal, and an open affix is even better, right? So if I had, like, for example, the throwing attack speed, and like not the attunement, and then you go with like double tier 7 suffixes, that would be good too. But like there's many different ways, because here I actually already have my wanted affix as tier 7. this is kind of like even better. If you can have one wanted affix on your item, you want to imprint that one with an open affix of the affix that you want, of your desired affix. So yeah, so there's many different ways that we can go about this. This is why it's kind of like difficult to talk about this system as a whole, as like a complete guide, and like how to exactly, well, what's the best way of imprinting, because there's many different ways that you can go about this. I've had many items drop from 0 forging potential that just dropped me the exact same item with like a slightly different roll of like one stat that I don't care about. So like if I imprint these boots too that are forging potential 0 with movement speed and int, and that's what I want, that is also fine. Some people have more success with this, some people have less success with this. We don't have the math behind it. From first-hand experience, I've had great success with 0 forging potential item that have the proper stats. But I've talked to other people and other players that have had way more success just imprinting like a high forging potential item with like one open affix and then trying to craft on it. That's afterwards. Because like the chance that the chance that the imprint changes an affix that is already tier 7, let's say it changes the movement speed into something else, that also has a chance of happening, right? But I think that talks a little bit about the imprint system and how you want to imprint your items. I hope that I've been like a little bit. I know I've been rambling a little bit, and it might not be that clear. Let me know in the comments if I should make like a more detailed video that is more less rambling and more to the point. But I feel like there's too many variants. There's too many, like, if you want 2 prefixes, 2 suffixes, 1 prefix, 1 suffix, you're crafting on a 2 LP item, 3 LP item. All of these things matter, and it's different for every single item. And like every item is craftable in a way because we have so many tools to mess around with it. Also, another thing to note is that the base can matter as well. If you're trying to imprint a specific base, we now have a new crafting material, which is the Glyph of Envy. So this one will change an item to a subtype of a different one. So how can I showcase this? I'll try to showcase this on this one. So let's say I have a ring that you want to imprint. It's not the right base. You might want to try to get on the right base. On ring might not matter that much. But like say you're trying to get a good Leonine helm on your Sentinel or something like this, right? You might want to try the Glyph of Envy. When you craft on the item, well, I'm not high level enough, but this will change the subtype of the item. So the ruby ring could go into a silver ring, could go into a gold ring, it could go into like any other type of ring, right? So you have a chance of changing the subtype of your item to something else. That is another good addition to the game that we've had so far, and that is very important. Why? Because this can help you use this imprint, Warlord's Riches. So Warlord's Riches is the imprint that makes you drop a sealed affix that can roll up to the tier on the item, and it will drop you items in a pile that is equal to the number of the affixes on the item. For Warlord's Riches, the sealed affix counts. So if I have 5 affixes like this one, cast speed, crit multi, endurance, health, and healing effectiveness, this will drop me 5 items. You want to have as much as possible. And so like for example on this one, gloves, right? If you want to have some gloves with a sealed tier 7 set affix, for example, the one that gives you health regen per strength, and you want this on Eternal Gauntlets, it's very hard to drop a raw natural Eternal Gauntlets with that. But with this one, now that we have the new crafting material, you might drop a noble glove that has a sealed tier 7, and then, you craft with the Glyph of Envy on it, you change it into an Eternal Gauntlet, and boom, you have your insane pair of glove. That is another tool that opens up some possibilities with Warlord's Riches. So, yeah, that is what you want with this one. As many as possible. You want to have as many affixes as possible on the item. You want to have your 5 affixes with a sealed affix, and use a Glyph of Envy to try to get your proper base. I think that covers a little bit about the imprint system and how to craft on your items. I hope I'm not forgetting anything here. So you want to have basic rule of thumb, you want to try to have at least one open affix so that you can craft a tier 1 on it, have a kit, and have a guaranteed seal. That's the basic idea. You can go like a little bit further into this depending on if you want prefixes or suffixes, but I think that that already is a very good start for you guys. And yeah, we talked about how to obtain your first double tier 7s, and then as you drop more of this item that is closer and closer to the one that you want, and if you can keep a high forging potential, keep re-imprinting until you are like very close to the item that you want, and you still have high forging potential, so that you keep a good chance of being able to craft your item totally and get your insane double tier 7s here. And then of course, okay, for something I forgot to mention, at the end of your craft, right? Once you're okay, you have your item, you have your 2. Let's say that you want to put this on a 2 LP. So I want cast with and crit multi. So what I'm going to be doing is that at the end of the craft, instead of finishing the craft and just putting it on my unique, I'm going to use a rune of creation. The rune of creation, it will duplicate the item. It's kind of like a mirror in PoE if you want. And then it reduces the forging potential to 0. So you can't craft on any of the item anymore. That is how you obtain mirrored items like this that have the exact same stats. That are just they just look mirrored from the image, and they have no more forging potential. So that you actually have 2 chances of crafting on your 2 LP unique item. So I hope you learned something in this video. I hope I didn't forget anything. Obviously, I'm not saying that I have like the perfect science about this. We do not have the math for the imprint system, and you know, like, people always come up with better ways of doing things. So if you have a better way, an even better way, and a better explanation, you can post them in the comments. And if it's really good, if it's something I learn as well, I might cover it in a future video. And yeah, so I'm not gonna make this any longer. Hope you guys learned something. I hope this helps player start imprinting in a better way and obtain better items, so that they are not afraid of double tier 7s, and double tier 7s become the norm, because they are the norm. Like, double tier 7s are not extremely difficult to get. The first one is your hardest one, and then with the imprint system, it gets better and better and better and better. Hope you learned something, guys. See you guys all in the next video.